listen to a comedy podcast. That means that none of this is medical advice. If you need medical advice or medical care, please contact your doctor.
Welcome to the Jock podcast featuring Dr. London Smith. He's fit as a fiddle and works in the hospital. Introducing your host, Dr. London Smith.
Hello, and welcome to the Jock podcast, where we discuss fitness and health and how to incorporate our modern understanding of science and medicine into our daily lives, but without it being so boring. I'm your host, drlondonsmith.com. I would like to begin by apologizing to our listeners. We have received some feedback about the amount of technical medical terminology that I've been using, such as peritoneum and spring break, bruh. So I will try to keep my vocabulary a little more simple in the future. Here to help with that is our producer, Cameron. And actually, I should correct myself there. Cameron is not physically here today. I actually don't know where Cameron is at the moment.
Dr. London, can you hear me? Dr. London?
Yeah. Are you calling
Am I coming in clear? 3, 2, 1. DJ Dylan. Can you hear my kissy noises? Mwah. 1.
Yes.
2.
Yes.
3. Am
Yes.
I coming in
Cameron?
clear? Yes.
Yes.
What? Where are you?
I am currently, I'm sure, Dr. London, you more than anyone are aware of the all the recent news lately, all the recent concerns on a national and international level.
You talking about the coronavirus?
The what? What'd you say?
The coronavirus?
I think it's the Snoravirus.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, it's like the Snorona-virus. That's right.
I
Like,
think it's called the coronavirus.
You get sick, and then you snore so loud when you sleep, you burst your eardrum.
It's actually called the COVID-19, technically, right? But it's
Cortana or Snorona or whatever it's called. Regardless, there's some sort of an epidemic going around, and I have done the smart thing and the smartest thing and taken precautions. And so right now I am in my quarantine submarine.
I'm sorry, you're in a submarine?
I am in a submarine, Dr. London, yes.
Okay, because the advice that's being given to people right now is, if you feel the symptoms and if you're in a, an age group and have, medical conditions.
Don't have to worry about feeling symptoms when I'm thousands of feet under the sea level, Dr. London. I'm staying safe. Coming at you live.
Yeah. Well, this is just so you know, this is a recording, so it's not.
Yeah, I'm coming at you live.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. We are here. Okay, so Cameron is our producer. That's who's. I'm sorry, Cameron. Is there something outside of your submarine?
Yeah, there's lots of things outside of the submarine. Dr. London, the ocean is awesome. Why haven't we talked about this on the show? Have you been down here?
Well, I live on land, so usually I'm not underwater, no.
I mean, there's dolphins, and there's little fishes, and there's little Nemos. I see 2 or 3 Nemos, and I see 2 or 3 Dories. And let's see, I don't want to say a merman, because I think that's assuming how this
gender.
Yeah.
Okay, but you think it's a mer creature?
I think they just flipped me off.
Okay. Well, also with us is DJ Dill in the house. Spring break, bruh.
Such a lonely time. Such a lonely time.
Spring break, bruh.
break, bruh.
And later on, Cameron, before he left for his quarantine submarine, he told me that we can expect a special guest as well.
That is right, Dr. London.
All right. Well, before we move on, I would like to address a bit of listener feedback. This feedback was written on the inside of some bandages of what I assume was a listener, and I, of course, received it by unwrapping it from their abdomen after a minor surgery. Quote, "I'm not trying to pay a part-time burger flipper $15 an hour. Learn to be more of a contribution to society. Min wage jobs are entry-level jobs, stepping stones. There is no reason to retire or work as a cart pusher for 20 MF years. That's not everyone else's fault. Rant over." End quote. First of all, thank you so much for your insightful question here at the Jock Talk podcast. We love to hear back from our listeners. To answer your question, it sounds like you are very frustrated about the debates concerning minimum wage. Unfortunately, I don't know a medical solution to this issue. Doctors can't prescribe, a certain wage for people. So this isn't really...
And I do have to say, I don't want to blame anyone for any position that they're in. But if you went to school to be he was saying a car pusher, like someone who pushes cars, I don't think that's a lucrative industry.
Okay,
Physically pushing cars from point A to point B, I understand the appeal, and I understand that maybe back in the day that attracted certain types of crowds. People, looking for these kind of freaks and, Guinness World Record holders, pulling trucks with their beards and all these things. But you can't expect to make a livable income on that. That should be a hobby.
Okay. So you think...
And don't get me started on stone steppers. He said something about stone steppers. That there's no money in stone stepping. Just stepping on stones. I don't understand why I would have to pay for that. And I try to, because, I've come into, quite a bit of money from this podcast, from our budget. And so, I try to tip well, but I don't understand what I'm paying for. They're just stepping on stones. I don't like it.
I'm sorry, the budget from the show, you're talking about just my money?
Yeah, well, and the money that I take from it, yeah.
Because that's just my money. That's not the show's budget. That's
I would say that the show's budget is our money. We're both putting money into it.
What money have you put into it?
I think I've put in a lot of ideas, which are pretty money, and I think I've put in a lot of effort and a lot of gumption, which I think a lot of people might consider a pretty money.
Those are also money.
Yep.
Okay. Well, anyway, so to that listener, thank you for your question. And thank you for listening. And normally at this point, I would share a tale from the hospital or clinic or surgery ward. But Cameron has actually been insisting to me that he is ready to take on a bigger role on the show by sharing some medical safety tips. So
that is right, Dr. London.
Yeah.
And you're already
we try to stick to
making
evergreen
reservations.
topics.
Yeah, you're already trying to make excuses for me, huh?
Well, I was just going to introduce you a little bit more by saying, coronavirus, as you mentioned, is a pressing issue in the world.
Sure.
So you're going to share with us prevention and care.
Absolutely, Dr. London. That was the idea, but then you started making excuses and started talking down on me, but that's fine.
Okay, I'm sorry. You know what? The floor is yours.
The first thing you need to do, stop sleeping. Don't do it.
Nope.
Again,
sorry.
I don't know the name of this thing. I don't know if it's Corona or Snorona or whatever it is. I do know that the one thing that's been consistent between all people who have caught it is sleep. Sometimes upwards of 8 hours a day.
And you think that's the problem? That's the symptom?
I think it can't be, at this stage, it cannot be ignored. It can't be simply a coincidence that every single one of them sleeps every single day.
Okay, a
lot of the people who have died from it sleep even more.
Okay, well that's not sleeping at that point. That's death. That's eternal rest.
Oh, okay, eternal. So I would say that's tip number 1. I would say tip number 2: get as far deep underwater as you possibly can. Get far away. Down, down, down.
Okay, now I know I said that that the floor was yours, but I do want to interrupt and say that sleep is actually very important for a healthy body, a healthy immune system.
Yeah, it's important for you to generate patience. To get people a little sick and ill, so they have to go see who? Who do they have to go see and have to be quarantined for 2 weeks and taken care of by? Would that be a doctor? Mr. Dr. London? Do you not see a conflict of interest here?
Well, and remember that
Sir!
doctors can,
Answer me, sir! Sir, I demand an answer. Answer me, sir.
on a technical level.
Sir!
Yes.
I demand an answer, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying to answer. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So, on a technical level, yes, that would generate more patients, but there aren't enough doctors, like we're actually looking at a potential, sort of overflow, like not enough doctors to handle a certain volume. So, ideally, people won't go to the doctor so much. They'll, be able to manage this on their own to some extent.
Oh, yeah. Ideally, people won't go to the doctor, so they get sicker. So then inevitably they have to go to the doctor even more and even worse and spend more money. You're just like a roofing contractor saying, "Don't fix your roof right now. Just wait a little while. What's the worry?"
Okay, well, I guess we can move on. I just wanted to make that point clear. And
Tip number 3: do not open your door.
Nope.
Why? Because you're underwater, so if you open the door, you're instantly going to drown. That is not an ideal scenario. That is worse than the virus. I can say that definitively. Dr. London, would you agree?
if you are underwater in a submarine, then yes, not only the water, but also their changes in pressure, all of that would be very bad for you. That's more...
You agree that drowning is worse than the virus. Say it on the record. I want to hear it.
I can't say
DJ Dylan, are you getting
definitively because
Yes.
both can kill you. So...
You're unwilling to say that drowning is worse than the coronavirus. This is ridiculous.
It's comparing different, methods of death. So it's...
Okay, would you say that eating a candy bar is better than drowning?
Yes.
So you can definitively say that.
In my opinion. And it depends on the person, perhaps.
All right, you've heard it here first. Then Dr. London thinks that the coronavirus is the same as eating a candy bar, and so it's nothing to worry about, and he's saying stuff like that to get you sick, so you have to go to the doctor way sicker than you didn't have to be if you just listen to my tips.
Okay. Well, is that all of the tips?
Jack in the Box tacos. You can get 2 for $1. And so if you get like 30 of those, then that's 30 days of food.
And you're saying to take that on your submarine?
Yes. And tip number 5, don't open the door because then the tacos will get wet.
Okay, so it's actually 2 reasons to not... This doesn't sound like it's really about the virus. It sounds like it's more submarine living tips.
I would say, well, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a big part of it.
Well,
like preparing for the apocalypse, I'm sure that would include tips on gardening, for example.
Well, I guess one thing for our listeners is that my guess would be most listeners don't have access to a submarine.
Well, then they need to get access to a submarine. All right, tip 7, get access to a submarine. I feel like that's already covered by tip 3, which was get deep below the ocean.
Right, as opposed to scuba or snorkeling your way there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, is that all the tips?
Tip 8. Little fish, that's food. Big fish, that can also be food, but all really, really, really big fish, you cannot eat that. It's too big.
Okay. Do you go fishing from the submarine? I thought you couldn't open the door or anything.
Well, I put a gun on, I kind of like taped a gun on the front of it. I haven't gotten to use it yet. This is all very new for me.
Right.
But the the assumption here is that my gun, I'm going to shoot fish with it.
Okay.
And then probably just scoop up their carcasses with a net.
Okay. And once again, to get it, I guess you'll have to go up to the surface in order to actually take the...
Oh, I'm not going up to the
Okay.
surface. Because the coronavirus.
Okay, well, I guess we'll go ahead and move on from there. But thank you, Cameron, for your tips, for your health tips.
Thank you, Dr. London, for confirming that everything I said is the way to handle
Well,
this.
and once... Okay, no, we can move on from there. Now for today's medical topic, hypovolemic shock. Hypovolemic shock
Bing.
occurs...
Right?
Hypovolemic shock occurs when decreased circulatory blood volume leads to decreased preload and cardiac output. The rate of volume loss is very important. So the slower the loss of volume, the greater the effectiveness of compensatory mechanisms. Acute or fast loss is associated with higher morbidity and mortality. Causes of hypovolemic shock include hemorrhage, and that can be from trauma, like getting stabbed or maybe shot by a gun on a submarine.
No one would consider that trauma. That's just an accident. If that were to happen on a submarine, you couldn't blame that on anyone because that's not traumatic. That's just an accident. And everyone understands accidents.
Okay, and other types of hemorrhage?
You can't be prosecuted for it's just an accident.
Right, well, other types of hemorrhage also include, GI bleeding, something internal as opposed to traumatic. You can also have non-hemorrhage causing hypovolemic shock, and that can be from things like voluminous vomiting, severe diarrhea.
Well, and the other person even said that the gun wasn't loaded, right? So, it's honestly, it's an accident, so it's no one's fault, and so no one can get in trouble for it, but it's not, it's really their fault.
Okay, did this happen to you, Cameron? I thought you said you hadn't used the gun.
What are you saying?
So I was talking about hypovolemic shock, and this is...
Yep, that is exactly what I was talking about too.
So, some more examples of non-hemorrhage causes.
Yeah, non-hemorrhage causes.
Severe dehydration, burns.
Severe dehydration,
third
burns.
space losses and bowel obstruction, etc.
Bowel obstructions, yeah, and even like third-degree burns.
Yeah, so if the diagnosis is unclear from the patient's vital signs and clinical picture, a central venous line or pulmonary artery catheter can give invaluable information for hemodynamic monitoring.
And I don't even think putting someone into a coma is against the law. Show me the law on that. I don't think that's part of the law at all.
Well,
because it's not like killing
medically
them.
There's...
It's different. You just put them into a coma. That's not against the law.
Medically, they'll sometimes put people into a coma for certain reasons, but...
Exactly. So they'll do that. And so then how could the person who shot the gun in the submarine or whatever be blamed for just doing what a doctor does sometimes, putting someone into a coma on accident? So it's not even anyone's fault. And if it was someone's fault, it was their fault.
Okay, so treatment for hypovolemic shock, of course, includes the ABCs. That's airway, breathing, and circulation. As far as airway and breathing, patients in severe shock and circulatory collapse generally require intubation and mechanical ventilation. And in terms of circulation, if hemorrhage is the cause, you'll apply direct pressure. So let's say you get shot.
And yeah, of course, maybe the first person, had thought about shooting the other person a few times. You're down in the submarine, things get a little stressful, and you start kind of fantasizing about stuff like that, like maybe like just shut up, and then just kind of like firing a few rounds. Just everyone's had those kind of thoughts. So like that can't even be tied if the other person ends up in a coma because they were shot by the first person. Just because they had thought that, or maybe said some things like that, or had recorded like vlogs talking about that beforehand, doesn't mean that it's their fault, because it is no one's fault. And if it was someone's fault, it would be the other person, because they said the gun wasn't loaded.
Did you go down that submarine with someone else originally?
Nope, just me. There's only one talking person in the submarine right now. Only one awake person.
All right, well, okay, so to go back to hypovolemic shock, Depending on the level of shock, IV hydration may be required with fluid bolus and continuous infusion, followed by reassessment. For non-hemorrhagic shock, it is not necessary to give blood. Crystalloid solution with appropriate electrolyte replacement, that can be adequate.
And it's not necessary to give blood to the person who was shot either, because, yeah, they lost some blood, but they're still breathing, heart's still beating, so I don't think there's any reason, especially if the first person who accidentally shot them, if they're scared of needles or anything like that, I think it would be inappropriate for them to try to donate blood or anything like that.
Well,
so
actually,
the second person will just have to maybe, survive with a little less blood
so
for right now.
I didn't expect for what you were talking about to so directly tie into what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was talking about non-hemorrhagic shock not being necessary to give blood, but if it's hemorrhagic shock, they need fluids in order to maintain, adequate blood pressure.
Well, yeah, and in this like hypothetical scenario, in the first place, they would have plenty of the fluids because they're already in a submarine, so they're surrounded by it.
Huh. Well,
surrounded by fluids everywhere.
Yeah.
Fluid everywhere.
Okay, well we can, I guess.
But not a drop to replace blood with. But you can try.
All right, we can move on from there. And Cameron, you said that we had a guest today. Is that right?
That is right, Dr. London.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello there. Hi. Hi. Welcome to the Jock podcast. My name is Dr. London Smith.
I like this guy.
And this is our producer, Cameron. I'm sorry. The voice you're hearing is our producer, Cameron.
Hello. Can I be heard?
Yeah. Sorry. I just, I had to get through that. Sorry.
Yeah. So what? If I may ask, are you well? Why are you on the show? I guess.
So yeah, I thought I would take the opportunity to put myself in the spotlight. I like to call myself the Bobby Fischer of epidemics. I kind of like, yeah. Have you guys not heard of me before? The Bobby Fischer of epidemics.com. Look that up.
Okay.
That's what you go by? That's your name?
That's my name. I consider myself the master of epidemic infection. I seek out. I'm like the storm chaser of like epidemics. Like I started in the early 2000s. And I couldn't stop. I've been like traveling.
Wow.
And I can't believe you guys haven't heard of me. Like I thought that your producers already knew me when I came on. Like when I signed up for this.
Yeah.
Can I ask what we? Well,
Did you talk to him about this?
No, I found like a survey online and it said like sign up. Like I thought like you guys would immediately. I thought you accepted me because you knew who I was.
Cameron, this would be your job, correct?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. He filled out so it was one of those online things that was like which girl has the biggest booty, and you had to like pick between like the two photos.
Hey man, don't like paint it like that. I wasn't out there looking for that. Like I just like I'm an influencer. That's what they call me now. Like in the early 2000s, I was just
whoa. No one's judging you for whatever reason you decided to do the survey, but that is the survey. It's an online advertisement where it's got two pictures of bottoms, and it's saying which fanny is the biggest. And this is, of course, the American usage of the word fanny, not the British version. And you clicked that, you filled on that survey, and now you're here.
No,
And yeah, he wrote down sick guy when he was describing his occupation.
Okay, Mr. Bobby Fischer.
No, I prefer not to go by Bobby Fischer. That's sort of like my. That's just how people
so what do we
kind of
call
remember me,
you?
right? But like I mean, I like to go by my like. I don't really want to give out my name because I'm actually.
But you just asked if
I mean,
we've
like
heard
I come
of
from
you.
money. I come. No, but that's like these are like my code. Like they're like my name, my code names. You know, like coronavirus is like the big name now, but it's not actually coronavirus. It's that COVID-19 thing. I go like people know me as the Bobby Fischer of epidemics because I'm so goddamn good at it.
Yeah, but you seem to know very little about the epidemic.
No, but I like to, like,
Like,
here's
you
my
didn't
thing,
know what
right?
it was
Like,
called.
chase.
I mean, seconds
No,
ago.
Okay,
look,
let's not
yeah,
fight.
I don't know why I'm being attacked right now, because, like, I'm here to
I'm
see.
bored. I've been in this submarine for so long. I'm just bored. I'm getting fussy.
Well, I'm like the opposite. I'm the opposite of you, man. Like, I don't have to hide in a submarine. I chase the epidemics. I'm the epidemic chaser. I like to go there. I like to get the epidemic, and I like to be the first to the plate. Like, I want people to know.
You're my enemy.
I'm sorry. So did you go to China then?
Yeah. I'm in China.
Whoa.
Okay, yeah, I was, because we're all, speaking remotely here, and I didn't know. It's sort of just a blank call for me because Cameron doesn't.
I'm technically in a detention center. But I'm in China. Like everywhere I go, they stop me. Because like when SARS was here, I came back to China then, and I was like purposely going around
Right.
trying to get it. Because like I want to get it. I'm after the virus. Like I want to get infected because that's how you get the name. You get the infection, and then you're the guy.
And then
with
all
the
that money
infection.
starts
Like, that's,
pouring in. Yeah.
You know how. Right, that's the prize, right? Like you get it, and then like they treat you nice, like they set you up real good with the like that special white room treatment, and then they deliver your food to you. Like I was in China, I was in Algeria for the plague in '03. I was in Mali for the yellow fever in '05. I was in India for the malaria outbreak
Yep.
in '06. I mean, bro, I those were my big ones, but like nobody like really cared. They like eventually I got a reputation, and like the news outlets weren't even like covering me anymore. But like I am the guy. I am the epidemic chaser. I chase that storm and I get it so that the world knows, but nobody cares,
Well, I guess it's an honor to speak to you. And sorry, you were getting to your name earlier, but we skipped over that. What was your name again?
I that's like I'm like Batman.
So
right?
what do we
Like, I don't
call
want
you?
people to
This
know.
is we've spent so long trying to figure out what to call you. We're not allowed to call you the Bobby Fischer of epidemics, even
No,
though that's the
'cause-
only way you've introduced yourself.
No, but that's like how people know me.
But what
But, like,
do we call you though?
You call me just call me epidemic chaser, like storm chaser.
Okay.
Like I'm the epidemic
Okay.
chaser. Just call me
EC.
It is less
whatever, man.
catchy.
Can we call you
EC's
EC?
fine. That's EC's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're calling him EC from now on.
Okay.
Okay, EC.
Actually, let's do EC17 because it sounds more like I actually like that a lot. Let's do EC17.
So it sounds
'Cause,
like
it sounds like a disease.
NC-17, like a movie rating that no one uses.
Well, yeah, no, I don't make that association, man. Like you've been like bumming me out ever since like you called me out for that whole boobs and butt thing. Like,
Well,
didn't
I
like
guess
that.
I'm
And you really, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, you give me
since
weird
we've
vibes.
started this podcast, I've blindly picked every single one of our guests. And so
Wait,
far
what?
it's been a massive success. But for some reason this one this one's pissing me off. This is a first. Maybe I have to rethink our guest choosing process. Cuz here you're coming on the podcast. I just talked about that you need to get under the ocean to get away from this disease to stay healthy so you don't get the coronavirus and snore so loud that you burst your eardrums. And you're here saying that I'm a fool and that you should go get it as quickly as possible.
No, I never said that, man. I mean, whoa, I'm the other guy out there, like, trying to show the world, like, I just want the like, it's not about the popularity, but it's about the spotlight. I'm a spotlight craver. I love that shit. And, like, I purposefully get in, like, I'm generally in good health, but then I tear down my immune system before I go to these countries so I can get it. And, like, I'm in my late 30s. Like, I'm not like super in shape, but like,
Okay, so you're more of a daredevil. You're not necessarily endorsing other people getting the disease. You're
Right,
more about
right.
pushing yourself to the extreme. I can
Exactly.
I can
But
respect
also
that.
just like
Okay.
I want people to know. I want people to see. But like nobody but they're shutting me down, man. Like I'm here to like get seen, okay? Like I want people to know. And I want them to know my name. I'm the epidemic chaser. I'm the EC17. Like please. Like
Dr. London, do you think what EC's doing is a pretty cool and radical and awesome idea?
I was in Bolivia in '09 for dengue fever. I was like in West Africa for meningitis in 90 and well in 2010. Like come on, like somebody give me some credit
Yeah.
for at least the hand, foot and mouth in Vietnam in 11.
You got hand, foot, and mouth disease? Like, isn't that usually a disease that infants get?
What? No, I was there. I never said I got it.
No, don't
Like,
make
it's
fun
hard
of
to
him
get
for it.
It's hard to get it, man. It's hard to get it.
It's challenging as an adult.
Yeah.
Nobody
okay.
nobody
obtain
talks
that.
about how hard it is to get these diseases. Once you're in the country, you know how hard it is to find people like that, get through security, like actually lick some like tiles and like door handles that they actually touched. It's
And-
hard.
and
They're
weird
cleaning
animals.
that stuff. Yeah, weird animals. I mean,
Yeah, have you-
nobody talks about it.
Have you tried
Like-
getting other diseases that are kind of targeted at infants? Like
No,
shaken baby
but
syndrome?
like what? No, what? No, like why? I'm not a baby.
I don't
I mean,
well,
like
look, man,
it's
I
hard
was
for
trying
me.
to be
This is hard for me. You're coming after me.
Cameron,
Like,
you are
want
being
me? I
harsh
thought-
here.
It's-
I find something odd about this situation in that you are both quarantined, and I'm just in my study. You're both quarantined.
He's not quarantined. I'm quarantined.
I'm in I'm in the Hunan, man. I'm down under. I'm in here in the
He's-
China land.
Yeah, he's in the shit.
Well, he's
like
the
because
city is
they're like looking at
quarantined.
me. They're like looking at me. I mean, at least they gave me like my Wi-Fi password and like let me like have some outside contact. But I'm not
Oh,
even sick. I'm not even sick.
I see what you're saying. You're involuntarily quarantined right now.
That's exactly like they're holding me, man. They're like won't let me get the. They won't let me get it. I don't think it exists.
But
I
Dr.
don't even
London,
think it exists.
could you comment on his occupation? Like, how do you feel about this sort of disease chaser
Yeah. Well,
lifestyle?
so EC17, I feel like perhaps
Don't cave on the 17 thing. It makes
you
no
may
sense.
Give me the 17. Just give it to me.
Okay.
you may have
I've been at least doing this since '03. That's why I said 17. '03 to 2020. EC17. Epidemic Chaser 2020.
Okay.
EC17.
So you have been exposed presumably to some risk factors for the disease of COVID-19, and so because of that, and because of your current symptoms
Dude, they stopped me in the airport. They stopped me in the airport.
coughing, and I don't know if you have fever or something, but that does sound like a pretty bad cough. So I'm
Oh, I've
assuming,
had this cough for at least 10 years.
okay, which actually might put you at greater risk because that sounds like lung damage than chronic bronchitis or something.
Okay, Dr. London, I
Yes?
just asked you, hey, this man who chases diseases, do you think that's a good idea? What the hell are you talking about? Your response to that was like, well, I think the disease, and if you cough and the cough sounds pretty interesting, and if what, tell this man he's killing himself. What are you doing?
Well, my first answer was to his question, or to his statement, which that he thinks he doesn't have it. So yes, going to places where you increase your risk of exposure deliberately just for the sake of becoming diseased is a bad health choice, I would say.
Hey, it's more than that. It's more than that. It's to tell the world. I want people to know. And I want people to know me. I mean, I've been doing this for 17 years.
But what do you want people? We understand people want to know. You want people to know you. But what else? Like, what are you trying to tell people? That's what I don't get. What are you trying to show to the world? That the disease exists?
No, I mean, it's more like my version of it. I want them to hear my story, I want them to like I want them to
know.
understand my version of it.
What is your version of it?
Well, I mean, it's my experience. It's like once I get the disease, have you ever seen like that fucking Jude Law movie with like Contagion? Is that what Contagious? I forgot. It's one of those. It's one of those movies. I saw that
Sure.
movie
I
like in
don't
the middle of
know.
my journey. No, what? I mean, it's all about like you want to like live stream that shit, you get the disease and you're going through the motions. You're like, "Look at me. Look." Like when's the last time you saw like a really good like Facebook live like I'm sick and this is my journey through like dengue or
Uh-huh.
measles or some shit,
I
like that's some serious like truth, man.
I guess I don't seek those out or watch those very much because, I could see it in the hospital a lot. So, those sort of things don't appeal to me as much. But
I
yes,
just want you to know, Zika was a real letdown for me as a man. I've just got to say, Zika was not what I thought it was going to be.
Dr. London, your response to this man and many of our other guests continues to wow and baffle me.
Yes.
This man is talking about some of the most insane stuff we've ever heard. And you're talking about the reasons that you don't watch medical movies is because you might see it in the hospital for real. What the hell are you talking about? Help this man.
well, for one thing, we are not on the same continent. So in terms of helping him, I should say, EC17, you should seek medical care.
God, you are the most incompetent doctor. EC17, are you listening to me?
Yes.
Okay, I think what I need you to do right now is I need you to break out of quarantine as quickly as possible.
No, okay, hold on. There is
What?
the idea is to keep it from spreading.
But he doesn't have it, he said.
I don't have it. This is old. They wouldn't. I mean, I might have it because I wasn't that long. I've been in the country less than 48 hours.
What? Oh, so you just arrived.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was in, like, I had to, like, get in through the other channels, right? So I actually got in through, like, India. I've been on a journey, man. Like, I took the trains, and I was on the buses, and then I got into, like far, like, West China, and I've just been, like, kind of inching my way, because I couldn't go in. I couldn't get a flight, Like, it's been a really hard trip.
What's the most interesting thing you've eaten on your travels?
Well, let me think. I mean, see, the thing about the food is that I never really know what it is, right? So, like, I had this little, like,
No.
roll thing.
You say
It was a
right
little,
like I'm supposed to accept that. No.
No, like, it was, like, it was a little slimy, it was, like, kind of grayish brown.
Well,
It had some stuff in it. It was, like, veggie, mostly veggies, right? Like, I don't, like,
keep
meat's
saying
kind of,
right.
like, hard. Yeah.
I'm not as familiar with those foods. But
I think it was...
Are you coughing anything up when you cough?
I mean, it's pretty dry.
What?
But it's been there. It's been there a long time.
it's a dry cough.
Dry
Okay.
cough. Did you say I had lung damage? Did you say I sounded like I had chronic bronchitis?
If you've had this cough for a decade or more, then yes, that'd be the definition of chronic. Is long term is what chronic means. I mean, there's a standard definition, but if you've had this cough for that long, it would be described as chronic.
EC17, I want to get to know you a little bit more. When did you said this started first you said it started in 2000 and then you changed it to starting in 2003 in order to
early 2000s. No.
in order to
No.
justify the 17
No.
that is irrelevant now.
No, early 2000s.
Yeah,
I said early.
And then
SARS. SARS.
Right, okay, but I am interested in how did you get into this? Why did you get into this? What was your reasoning for getting into this
Initially.
lifestyle?
Yeah.
Yeah, initially.
I just
Back in 2000 or 2003, that's still debatable.
Okay, here's the deal. I come from some money, okay? Like, my family's very wealthy, and I had a choice. I had a choice to either, like, go do the college thing, like, like, follow in those footsteps or whatever, but, like, it seemed like nobody really cared, right? Like, hedge fund baby or not, like, that was, like, I wanted to do something. I wanted to do my own thing, and this was my way of, like, showing the world that, like, it doesn't matter who you are, you can go and you can travel and you can be somebody who stands out. And that's why, like, Bobby Fischer was, like, my inspiration, because he did that thing. He was the chess guru and really like yeah like it was just a moment in my life when I had to decide who I wanted to be, and I said, all right, I'm gonna chase epidemics and I'm gonna see if I can get them. Because in one sense, someone was like, oh yeah, is this like a is this a conspiracy, like or like does these even exist? And I wanted to like humanize it for myself and tell my story,
No one
but
says
it's just
that,
like
but sure.
no, what?
Is it?
No, but
No one says disease doesn't exist. People might say that, like
well,
disease and epidemics are exaggerated or things like that, but I
exactly.
I don't think
No,
there's a
these
conspiracy that
diseases.
the concept of disease does not
No,
exist.
I said the these.
So it sounds like, some people, whenever they reach a certain age, the late teens, early 20s, they'll go backpacking, they'll go, explore Europe or something. And it sounds like you, rather than going exploring somewhere sort of in the conventional way, you decided to go exploring specifically in areas where there's an epidemic present.
Well, and I seem to be missing the point in which you decided that disease was what you wanted to chase after to find something bigger in this life, rather than
SARS, man.
rather
SARS.
than anything else.
SARS.
So you just heard it on the
SARS.
news and were like, "Oh, that's my life now."
It was bigger than life, man. It was the talk of the town. Like everybody was talking about SARS.
The
and how scary.
popularity.
Yeah,
How-
yeah. And I was like, I got to be a
Yeah.
part of that. Like I was an early adopter. Like I'm not the only one, man. Like I'm not the only one.
Oh, you've got some friends out there in the community?
It's an online community mostly, but yeah, like people talk about
Like a-
trying.
Like a Facebook group, or is it like its own
Well,
forum?
it
Or
started on MySpace, kind of went from there, transitioned over. Like, I mean,
Zynga?
we were on the well, no, I mean, it's like an MSM. We had like a group chat at first,
Yeah.
but we all met through MySpace and just like finding our common threads. And then, Facebook kind of took us to the next level, but we didn't really have like that Facebook page group setting thing. So it kind of like eventually we were like early on Reddit, but it was like we didn't really have a big following, so it was just kind of hit or miss as whether or not you could find people that had a common voice. But we're out there, man. We're chasing it.
how many other people would you say do this?
And are they
You know,
numbered differently from EC17?
it's hard because like they're not actually like they're more interested. It's more like intrigue, and it's hard to know actually how many are out there in the field.
Like
you know?
committed?
Committed, yeah. like,
Posers
people
versus
talk.
the real heads.
Exactly. I've never actually met another one of me out here. That's the thing. So I can't speak to that.
Oh, so you are the only one of your kind as far as you are aware.
I mean, here's the deal, man. Like some of these diseases are serious. Like they could have been wiped out, man. Like there could have been even before me. Like I might be one of like a lineage. You can't like dismiss that shit.
Sure.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, can we dismiss that? I mean, do you know your parents?
Yeah, what
Do you-
what about your family? The ones you
You-
left behind to go traveling?
It sounds like you know your family quite a bit because you keep talking about how you come from money, you come from this wealthy family, but then you also say that you might have come from a lineage of disease seekers.
No, like lineage meaning like people who set the standard, who've been there before. I'm not related to those people. I mean,
Not
my family.
blood.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
blood
not blood.
relatives.
My family.
But you
like,
said you-
they.
Okay, so when you said you might come from a lineage of disease seekers you don't know, you're just saying out there in the world someone might have tried this before, but I don't think so because there's no proof of that at all.
I can't. Man, your tone. It's
Yeah,
very combative.
I'm sorry, I just don't buy this guy's deal.
It's very odd because normally, Cameron, you would endorse the deal, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's refreshing in a way to
And
see that
normally
you
I'm
are.
totally on board, but I feel like it's a personal attack because I was just talking about how you need to be under the ocean, or an ocean,
I'm not.
or
I'm not telling.
a body of water, or like in my case, like I'm surfacing right now. I'm gonna get some snacks, but
Oh,
I
you
said
are
an ocean
surfacing.
I said an ocean before, but I mean like a YMCA pool is kind of really where my submarine's at.
Wait. So what about all the fish you were talking about?
Well, I mean that's here. I feel like someone should probably do something about that, but
And so I guess the mer person was just a person.
I think that might have just been, I mean, just a person, which does make sense because they did park my car.
Okay. The same person who
Yeah,
you
like
saw
a
in the
couple
water.
hours ago. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and I'm sorry, EC17. It's just we are juggling this whole thing of you are in quarantine somewhere, and also Cameron is voluntarily quarantining himself currently, and so
Yeah.
I am trying to keep up with
In the
both of
bottom
you
of an
on this
indoor
issue.
pool. Yeah.
So, I guess to both of you, have you been listening to the guidelines on how to manage coronavirus? You know, the ones from the CDC, from the World Health Organization, you know, about washing your hands frequently, you know, avoid touching your face, clean off surfaces, including, say, your phones.
Who are you asking that? Are you asking this to EC17?
This is to both of you.
Well,
This
I haven't
yeah.
been following like anything they've been saying. I've just been sticking my hand out the submarine and washing my hands that way. And I'm
Okay.
definitely not doing it for 20 seconds. I'm
Okay.
gonna guess that EC17 is probably not doing that because his goal is the exact opposite of that, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I'm just
yeah,
checking here. EC17, what has your approach been?
It's been to purposefully expose myself and break down my immune system when I'm in the country of origin for said epidemic.
Okay.
So yeah. I mean, like I said, I was in the airport. I was licking handles. I was like trying to like get in faces like as they were cough. You know, you want that cough stream. That immediate cough is the first like wave, and that's what you want. That's what you really, really want. And I mean, like the problem is like here's the deal. It's like your body can only handle so many diseases at once. So it's like I get a lot of misguided infections. I'm like, I want this one, but I got this one instead.
Okay. I understand that. So,
Can I ask? It kind of seems like we're wrapping up here. I do want to ask you, what are your long-term goals, EC17? Like, what is the big dream with all of this? You've been working your whole life towards this thing. What is the big dream? Are you wanting like a TV show, or is there something you're trying to do? Big picture.
Honestly, here's the deal. Like, I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want people to get sick because of me. But honestly, I think that if I was to picture my perfect scenario, I would be the first case. Like somehow I would be in that like market. I would be like touching that seafood and or whatever. You know, I would be patient 0 or 1
okay.
or yeah. I want that. I don't want people to get sick, but I just want to be patient 1. And I don't really know how to do that because I don't want people getting sick because of me, but I still want to be number 1, number 0. Whatever.
So, patient 0 with any old disease, or are you saying like patient 0 for like the like humanity ending apocalyptic disease, or what do you?
That's sort of that, but like
That's
see,
the
here's
goal.
the deal.
Okay.
It's like if
and
I
I
could
can
be
kind
if
of
I could
actually
be,
get that.
if I could be patient 0, but then somebody else could be like patient 1 or 2, and like they don't get it from me. Like I just get it, and I go off. And they're like, "Oh, you got it first, but these guys are the ones who spread it."
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
That's the dream.
I get it. You're talking about humanity ending disease. You're talking about human history. It's going to be remembered forever. You want that kind of reputation. I can kind of get that, and I kind of respect it. I've come around on you.
wow. You know, I'm glad you guys have been able to make peace in this way because it was a little bit unnerving to see two people who seem so alike in their approach to disease. And to see you guys bicker like you were. You both come around.
Thanks. I think I've grown a lot.
All right. Well, on that note, I think, as Cameron said, it is about time to start to wrap things up. Thank you so much to EC17 for phoning in from your quarantine.
And EC17, is there anything before we wrap up here? Is there anything you want to say? Is there anything you came on the show specifically to get out there?
I just want everybody to follow me at Bobby Fischer Epidemic Chaser.com and Instagram hashtag Bobby Fischer Epidemic Chaser. Just keep in touch. Just keep following for my journey.
All right. Well, thank you. And thank you to our producer, Cameron, who was kind enough to phone in, apparently from his own self-imposed quarantine in a YMCA pool.
Yeah.
Thank you to DJ Dill in the house.
I've been at least doing this since 03. That's why I said 17. 03 to 2020. EC17. Epidemic Chaser 2020.
My name is drlondonsmith.com. This has been the Jock Doc Podcast.
See ya.
Epidemic Chaser 2020.
The concrete feels cold on your cheek, but the cold is a relief at this point as you begin to pick yourself up and the heat of the day once again pays a scorching visit to your face. But you cannot quit now, so you throw yourself back to the ground, back to that cold concrete, and then you pull yourself up again. Readying yourself for another plummet, a shouting voice cuts through your thoughts. For the last time, that is not how you do burpees, the personal trainer scolded. Speaking of scolding, it is unfortunately time for us to scold you listeners for not sharing the Jock Doc podcast with your friends, family, and enemies. We find it to be offensive. Just send them a link to jockdocpodcast.com. Just do it! While you're at it, go ahead and leave a 5-star review of the Jock Doc podcast in which you share what your personal trainer has been yelling at you about. And be sure to take a peek at our posts on social media like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We are at Jock Doc Podcast. Thanks for listening.